All right, guys, welcome back. This is the second part of the Spotlight mini-series, masterclass that we're doing. I've got a mini-series. Anyway, how to cut through the marketing spin. So obviously we'll have Amanda jumping on and having a discussion about this because she is a legend at what she does.
Don't jinx.
Now, first and foremost, we'll have housekeeping done. So let's get started.
All right, I'll keep it quick. Hopefully many of you are repeat viewers in these masterclass series. So very, very quickly, we don't replace your broker and your accountant. You need them. Gatekeeper to finance, gatekeeper to tax laws. You need them because they're your legal friends. We're your strategic partners. So we help you with the strategizing, portfolio design, what to buy, how to negotiate, how to negotiate. That's where we come in. But we, of course, don't replace your professionals. At the same time, we're pitching today to a general audience. It's not individualized advice because we haven't taken an assessment of your situation in presenting today. So do keep in mind that what we say is intended for general intake and understanding. You apply it to your situation as you see fit. And then, of course, if you want to have a chat further with Dragan specifically about your situation, you'll have that opportunity. So have a read of that disclaimer, please, if you can. Okay. So as Dragan said, this is the second part of the Spotlight series on topic 6. So if you've just come from the compliance masterclass, or if you're starting with this one, it really doesn't matter. They do work in pairs. As you can see, there are 10 topics where we sort of have pigeon pairs, opposing topics on the same theme. So what we're looking at now is how to cut through the marketing spin when choosing a buyer's agent. The twin masterclass to this one is looking at the qualifications and regulations, qualifications that are required and industry regulations for buyer's agents in the industry currently. Today, we're looking at the marketing spin. So it's probably better to look at the other class first, so you know the regulations that exist. So then now when we talk about the marketing spin, you can actually see how they skirt around the regulations cleverly with their language and their marketing, because that's what this one is designed to show you. So try and catch both. Better to get the other one first. But if you're aware of industry regulations, then you're fine to start with this one.
Yep. And again, guys, please scan this QR code if you have any questions directly with myself. Have them ready. You've got 15 minutes. It doesn't cost you anything. Scan the QR code or go to propertysessions.com.au/15. And happy to have a chat with you. Don't worry if you've missed it. We'll show that QR code again at the end of this session. A little bit about myself, and I'm going to keep it brief. Some of you already know about this. You can skip it. So my background, parents from former Yugoslavia, immigrants to Australia in the 70s. Grew up in an area called Redfern in Sydney, which a lot of you, I'm sure, will know and have heard in the past in the news. It's not that bad now, but anyway, grew up in commission housing. People around me with the kids, they had, in the schools that is, they had the nicer stuff, let's call it stuff, which I sort of felt like I was left out and sometimes teased. It grew a burning desire in me to achieve, I guess. And fast forward in my 20s, started my photography studio business. From then on, I had a landlord that I was renting from who drove the nice cars, and I pretty much, bothered him to ask him, okay, what are you doing? And he guided me into property investing. A year later, bought my first investment, and moved on from then. Now in my mid-40s, with a decent portfolio of properties and a business within, as you know, the buyer's agency industry to help others not make mistakes like I did, but also most importantly, educate my two lovely boys for them not to make the mistakes when they get into their mature age of investing. Amanda.
Like kind of passively aggressively.
Yeah,
That's
quick.
Oh, goodness me. First, I can't get him to talk about himself at all. Now I can't get him to stop.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I won't get into my story. Mine's not as colourful and as illustrious
All right.
as Dragan's, but I'm sure you've seen it on the other master classes. I've got 3 kids, same sort of thing. We do this for them, right? Legacy. And, my husband's massive on legacy. and making life easier for them. I'm maybe not as kind. I still want them to work for it because my parents made me work for it, and I think that's a good thing. They educated me, but they didn't do it for me, and I feel the same way with my kids. I'll educate them and show them the path, but, you lead a horse to water, they're the one that has to drink. So same sort of thing, 20 years odd experience. My husband comes in with similar experience. We both started very young. I wasn't naturally hungry for it. If you've seen the other ones, you'll see that my parents pushed me, whereas my husband was very self-motivated and self-driven, a bit like Dragan. He wanted his parents, they didn't struggle, but they did both have to work full-time for a long time to make ends meet. So my husband's very much a case of, I want to work, but he always wanted the wife at home. I'm like, sorry, bro, not happening. I need to keep my mind active, otherwise I get myself into trouble. But he very much wants the kids to have choice, and he wants to create an infrastructure for them where they have choice. So for him, it's very much about legacy. For me, I genuinely have a passion for it. I know that sounds silly,
No.
but I do genuinely have a passion for property, and that's why I've merged my teaching. You can see there that I was an English teacher. Merging teaching with property and doing this, like, there is nothing I would rather spend my day doing. I know that sounds so stupid.
There's only two passions I ever had, and those two I was working. That's photography and property.
100%.
And, and it hasn't felt like a day of work in my life, I'll be honest.
For me, it's reading and property, English teacher. Like,
Exactly.
here we are. Okay, so if you've seen the other masterclass, you can see that it's a very unregulated industry. There's not a whole lot of required qualifications. I mean, he's got his real estate license, QPI, all of that. I've got almost a master's in property property development, and we've both got boatloads of experience. But in terms of formal qualifications and formal licensing, there's not a lot of regulation in the industry. So as a consumer, how do you know who to hire? And we did touch on that a lot in the other masterclass. We zoom in here now on the marketing side as opposed to the regulation side. So the other masterclass is the regulations, what is required as a minimum. This is where those minimums don't apply. How does marketing help make it look like you're hiring somebody reputable or corporate?
We're very passionate about this subject because we know there's a lot of clowns out there that disguise themselves. So
The problem is we inherit their disgruntled clients. So people come to us from a position of skepticism or having been burned. And it's not that we're being painted with the same brush, but it's that people come in quite adversarial or oppositional because they've been burned.
Yep.
And
which makes sense.
it makes sense, and you can't blame them for that because it is an unregulated industry.
Yep.
But it makes you disappointed in the ones that do create situations where clients feel the way they feel, and then they come into a good environment feeling burned. It's hard, right? For them and for us.
But then once they see the result, then they're even happier than,
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
It's just frustrating that clients aren't protected at a consumer level, so they have to be burned if they've made a batch. Anyway.
Yeah. And again, this is coming back to before you do your purchases and jumping the hoop into, signing an agreement with anyone, educate. I can't, strongly say that enough.
Yeah. And that's why I'm here. At heart, I'm a teacher above being a buyer's agent. My purpose for being here is to educate, because that's the bit that I'm more passionate about. My property journey is about my journey and my investments and my developments. The passion for that comes from doing my own projects. Being here in this business for me is about the education. And I've said this before in our live, for as long as I'm working for this company, it's because he's letting me educate. He stops me educating and puts me into sales, I'm out. And he knows that. So
Yep, I know it.
Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is this idea of single party representation in Australia. So single party representation, we went into in far more detail in the other class. Here, I just want to reiterate the difference between a real estate agent and a buyer's agent, because in Australia, you cannot practice as both in the one transaction. Okay, you can practice as both in separate transactions, but not in the same transaction. So what a real estate license allows you to do is participate in property transactions, so to negotiate on behalf of the party that you represent, whether that is the vendor or the buyer, okay, the purchaser. So the real estate agent represents the vendor, the seller. So they represent the vendor. The commission is paid by the vendor, usually a percentage of the sale price. Therefore, the agent aims to get the highest price for their vendor in the interest of their vendor and to maximize their commission, okay? The buyer's agent usually charges a flat fee, not a commission, because the goal for us is to get you the lowest price. So to charge a commission when we're trying to draw the price down doesn't make sense. So it's a flat fee charged by the buyer's agent to represent the buyer in a transaction.
You do get owner-occupier, buyer's agent that do either charge a flat fee or commission.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
More on the owner-occupier side, just so,
Mm.
yeah, just in case someone says, "Oh, hang on, I know someone that charges a commission." So
Oh, they can charge whatever fee
Yeah.
model they want, but
generally, yes,
Yeah.
it's a flat fee. Yep.
yeah, sorry, I should have said that. Generally speaking, because if we say to you, we're charging you a commission, your first question to us is going to be, well, where's your incentive to bring the price down? Right? So it's in our interest not to charge a commission as well. Okay. So what we have is single party representation. So you can, we are licensed to represent one side of a transaction, either side in each transaction. So we choose to represent the buyer and the buyer only, as you'll see in the other masterclass. That's because it allows us to maintain industry ethical standards. But a real estate agent, for example, if you're mates with a real estate agent and you say, hey, I want to buy in your local area, can you represent me? They can and they will, and they'll charge you for it, but they can't be the selling agent in that same transaction. They can't represent both sides. So if they're charging a commission to the vendor and also charging a fee to you, they are in breach of this single party representation law because they cannot represent both sides in the same transaction.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Some try to get around this, which we're going to talk about today. Okay. So how to recognize a real estate agent in disguise. So when I use the term real estate agent, what I mean is the seller's agent, the seller being the vendor, the developer, whoever is listed on the title of that property as the seller before you become the registered owner on title as the purchaser. Okay. So are you being swindled? The easiest way to know this is by asking a very basic question. Who is paying the fee?
That's right.
Okay. Whoever is paying the fee is the person being represented in that property transaction negotiation, because by law, the agent is only allowed to represent one side, and by law, the one side they represent is the side that is paying them. It's almost like it's common sense, isn't it?
Yep.
Who pays is who gets serviced. That simple. If you're not paying, you are not getting the service. You are not getting the representation. The negotiation is not in your favor. We cover this in so many classes because it just comes up in so many different ways. It's so relevant in so many different ways.
Yep.
The first thing you need to do when choosing a buyer's agent or any form of representation is making sure that you are the one being represented. If you're not paying the fee, you're not the one being represented. And they can pitch that to you as saving you money, say whatever. Then they have to make their bread and butter. They have to make their money. So the way they make their money, the way they're being remunerated, I can never say that word, remunerated.
Yes.
I'm married to a recruiter and he can't say that word either. And it's like a daily word he uses. Neither of us can say the word remuneration. However they're being paid, where their money's coming from is where their interest lies, because they need to keep the money coming in, so they need to keep satisfying that interest.
Yeah.
That interest is not from you. Their loyalty is not with you. Very simple. Okay? I've got down there is no such thing as a free lunch. That's such an Aussie phrase, right? But we all know that deep down, we know there's no such thing as a free lunch.
Yep.
Okay? So is your buyer's agent really a real estate agent working exclusively for developers? Is your buyer's agent really just a developer trying to sell their own stock directly? So what we mean there is if you are working with a buyer's agent or buyer's club or wealth creation specialist, whatever, where the fee is being paid by the developer or the vendor, then they're actually a real estate agent. By real estate agent, I mean seller's agent.
Yep.
And if you ask them directly, are you a real estate agent? They have to answer honestly. Yes, I represent the vendor. Yes, I represent the developer in these negotiations. They will dance around that until you really
I'll try and answer it in a different way.
because they're relying on your ignorance,
Yeah.
right? They're relying on you not knowing these things that we're telling you today so that they can manipulate their answer to influence you into not digging deeper.
Yep.
That's the English teacher in me coming out, representation and context. This is why we analyze text, so you can understand when you're being manipulated by representation. This is why you need English classes, kids. All right. This proved how it's relevant in real life. I want to go back 10 years and I'm like, see? Okay. So there is no such thing as a free lunch. They're trying to pitch to you in a way to manipulate you to believe them when they say that they're representing you.
Yep.
But if you're not paying them, you already know. You're already smart enough to know that if you're not paying them, you don't get the free lunch. Okay?
Yep.
So should we
Services.
Yeah. How do they get around this? With membership-based services. So they collect their commission from their vendor. They still want to get money from you, so they charge you to join their members' database or their whatever. Okay? So you're not paying a commission, you're paying membership to a buyer's database. This is not a buyer's agency service. The service being provided is not investment advice. The service being provided is not to act as your agent in a negotiation for a property transaction.
Yeah.
All you're doing is paying for the right to access their stock as a real estate agent.
And not necessarily only stock. Some will actually package it for you, that you're coming on as a membership into their little circle, which they'll have their own accountants, brokers, conveyancers, in hope that you don't go outside of their circle and ask the questions. I'm buying an off-the-plan or new house and land package, and someone with a bit of knowledge, whether it's the accountant, the broker, says, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Because usually that's not a good investment. So they have internal, and they will package that up as a membership. Hey, don't worry, you don't need to go external for these services. We had everything in-house. Warning sign, red flag on that one.
Yeah, because they've got everyone on the same team cultivating your view. You know, the word cult comes from the word cultivating, right? They're cultivating your view to fit their framework so that you don't fly the coop.
That's right.
Okay.
The real buyer's agency service will actually tell you, hey, you know what? We don't specialize in accounting. We don't specialize in mortgage broking. We're not conveyancers. We can refer it. Or, you know what? If you have your own, that's great that you're happy with.
Yeah, when everyone stays in their lane, you get the best advice.
We always ask, once you do have your own, we then collaborate together and stick to one email or whatever it may be. So we are working in a
efficient manner.
That's right. And that's the way it should be.
But if you want to bring in your own people, you have every right.
100%.
They're your people.
Yeah.
And don't forfeit that right with anyone, because I mean, if you genuinely don't have people, obviously we can recommend and refer.
Yeah.
But if you do, don't forfeit your right to use them.
You could ask the question, if they have someone in-house, how good are they really if they don't have their own business that they're running?
Or a breadth of experience.
That's right.
Outside of what that company does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Told you we're passionate about this. Could go all day on this topic.
We can.
Okay.
That's where podcast comes in later. All right.
Yeah. Get ready for that. That's when we can really go hard. Won't see my face. Okay. So it's not a buyer's agency service if you're paying a membership to a database, because they're not giving you investment or buying advice. They're just giving you access to stock and network, as Dragan said. So their commissions are still being paid by the seller, the vendor, the developer. So therefore, to drill it down to its most basic form, you are simply just on a real estate agent's database. You can go on any real estate agent's database for free, because it's just a mailing list, right? In this case, instead of it being a mailing list, they're just targeting you for their stock, right? It's the same thing. So therefore, what are you paying for? Exclusive access to what? Why would any vendor want to limit their market? This is a key question. What is really going on here? Why would anyone sell a property where their exposure to market is limited only to a pay for access database only? There's one reason: developer pre-sales. We go into that in huge detail in our main masterclass, developer pre-sales. We also go into that in our spotlight class on brand new and off the plan. I'm not going to repeat that here. I'm hoping you've already seen it. If you haven't, Please check that one out if you are considering using a service that is membership based. If they're pushing brand new off the plan stock, please, 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 please watch that masterclass first, because you'll find that they're not actually a buyer's agent. So if you want to, if you're considering using that kind of service, watch this pair of masterclasses
Yeah.
and watch the brand new versus established masterclasses. And that should give you enough information to determine if that's right for you. I don't want to go equivocally, unequivocally, no, it's not right. But it's real cause for questioning. And those masterclasses will give you the correct questions to ask. You don't have to ask us. Go to your accountant, go to your broker, go directly to that service provider and ask them the right questions. Do your due diligence. Come to us after you've done the due diligence, because then we're not inheriting a bad experience. We're inheriting you coming in informed. That's what we want. Okay. So if you access the information and verify the information that we give you as well, just use us as a launch pad. But those are the masterclasses that are relevant if you're considering a membership-based service. Okay, so I've got down the bottom there, always put on your critical thinking hat. And remember, if you ask outright, they must disclose.
That's right.
Okay, they'll dance around it, but just push and be really stubborn and be a thorn in their side till you get the right answer without the marketing spin and without the fluff.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, at the same time, we get it, right? Buyer's agents are expensive. So if you can avoid paying the fee, that's going to be tempting. That's a really good marketing tactic to use, right? Hey, that buyer's agent wants to charge you $15,000 or $20,000. We won't charge you anything because we're going to make the seller pay or make the developer pay. We're going to make someone else pay your fee so you don't have to. Translate that. What does that mean?
Yep.
We don't work for you.
That's right.
Well, you're not paying us. That's what that means. There's no free lunch.
And I've actually got a story to actually tell that I've had. It was mid last year, 2024. I had a client come to me and say, "Hey, look, I'm not paying for my buyer's agent fee," and they got me a pretty good deal. It was a house and land package in Queensland. I said, "Okay, great. Can you give me the details?" And they've given me the details. I went and contacted the developer. I say, "Hey, how much for this particular deal?" And I was acting dumb because I had a client and I got them significantly under what they were actually about to pay. So I went back to them and said, "Hey, how about you pay my fee and I'll get you this deal?" And I said, "Well, that's the exact same deal that I got, but you got it for me for almost $50,000 cheaper." I said, "There you go. Who's really working for you now?"
So once you factor in that $50,000 discount less the buyer's agency fee, you're still ahead.
Yep.
Funny that. Wonder who's working for who there.
That's right. Anyway,
Okay.
passionate about it.
It comes back to a professional can always justify their fee if they're good at what they do. They're good at what they do if they're passionate about it, right? So yes, buyer's agents are expensive if they're doing their job properly and they've proven their value, right? Because it comes back to supply and demand. If they're charging a certain fee, it's because people are paying it, meaning therefore they're worth it because they've proven themselves with track record, industry experience, ethical behavior, standards of behavior, codes of ethics, and so on. So the real ones, the real buyer's agents that are working for you and that are representing you, they give good advice. They work for you because you're paying them to. They're bound to you because you are paying them. Years of experience and expertise and a huge network of real estate agents that give them access to listings before they hit the market because they've done the legwork.
And I
Have a word.
Yes. Are you sure? And I got to be very, very clear on one thing. A lot of potential clients or people who call me up, they say, "Why would I use a buyer's agent?" I mean, okay, sure, you have a network, but I can sort of, make the calls on the weekends and get myself a good deal. Well, understand one thing, like myself, I've been working as a buyer's agent for many years. I've created a network with these not only real estate agents, but mortgage brokers and solicitors/conveyancers. When they have an opportunity that they need to sell quick and they cannot wait, 1, 2, 3 months to go on the market, to have people walk through their house, to spend, 8 to 10K on marketing costs. When an agent or broker or whoever contacts us or contacts me by email or phone, usually by phone, and say, "Hey, we have an address. Do you have a client for this?" They know that I'm a buyer's agent that negotiates hard. So what does that mean? We know there's some desperation in sale. So when it comes to desperation in sale, this is where we can get a good price and negotiate a much better price for what the property is worth. So this is the benefit. So a person, an agent who needs to get the top dollar for their client will not be calling us. The only agents who will be calling us are the ones who know that their client needs to move quick and are happy to have a little bit of a discount on their property. That's why they call us. Amanda?
Well done. He's talking more.
I am. I'm getting more comfortable in front of the camera now.
If you've been watching you've always seen the progression of him being like silent and mute or falling asleep to now contributing. How great is this?
Well, I'm not the best in front of cameras or people or crowds or audiences.
Shows he's genuine though, right? He's not a salesman. He's here because he wants to be, and it's genuine. All right. So when choosing a buyer's agent, what are you paying for? Are you getting value for money? And what due diligence are you doing when choosing an agent? These are things that are really important for you to do, not for us to do for you. All right. You've got to feel confident and comfortable with who and what you're hiring.
Definitely. And again, you've got the questions. Contact me, a 15-minute discovery session, scan the QR code or go to propertysessions.com.au/15. Happy to answer any questions you have. It's direct with myself, and let's see where we can take it from there. And again, thank you for this Spotlight Masterclass. We'll have many more to come. And Amanda, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
See you at the next one.